Cargo Road, are we?
On Facebook and
Live on Facebook.
321 Instagram.
And yeah.
Hit it. All good?
Okay, pass me that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are we?
I'm doing okay. We had a massive weekend, as big as the long weekend. So really huge, which big thank you to everybody that came out to Small Acres Cider. Lots of people from Sydney, so thanks for making the trip over the mountains. What about you, James?
Huge weekend, but I think we better introduce the third wheel.
Yes,
We're very lucky tonight to drag Stephan away from family time. Stephan runs Cured in Orange, which you might be able to see carefully a selection of meats and things that we've got that, just heaven. So
thanks very much, gentlemen. Yeah, James and James, thanks very much for having me on tonight. And it's just such a pleasure to be here. And,
cool.
You know,
Excellent. Good stuff.
talk a bit about what we
A
do.
nice Sunday afternoon little platter.
Perfect.
And
Indoor
some wine, some wine and some cider.
Perfect.
So, Stephan, Cured, tell us when, why, how?
When, why, how? Okay. So, at the beginning, I was born in Stuttgart, in Germany, which is just outside, like a little village outside of the Stuttgart city, and a very rural sort of an area. My father's a small goods maker, my grandfather, so it's been passed on down through the generations. And because we're situated so close to a few borders, you always get those influences. So we're sort of, northern Italy is where we went for holidays, and you sort of pretty within a couple of hours drive to France or Austria. So it's a beautiful place to live. And we moved to Australia when I was 10 years old.
So just going back family tradition, so did your dad and his dad have a shop in Stuttgart, or?
Well, Dad managed a shop, but we actually lived in a multicultural home. We owned, a block of flats, virtually. So it was like 4 stories, and we had all these nationalities living in there. There were Yugoslavs and Italians and things all living in, and in the cellar we had a sausage kitchen. So it had all the gear, and it had smoke ovens and boilers and everything. So my dad was not only working in the butcheries, managing the shop, but he'd come home and make all these products and then go and sell them at the markets on the weekends to help pay the bills as well. And because I was brought up with that, a lot of the knowledge I think that you absorb when you're in that sort of environment is subconscious, and you just know things. And if you were to ask me, I probably wouldn't be able to explain it or tell you exactly why or how something happens. It's like if you go to Italy and you ask an Italian family what their recipe is, it's basically just meat, salt, pepper, and it does its thing, because you've already got the microorganisms, you've got the bacteria, the starter culture which gives it the flavour and the aroma of the product, and you've got that in the shed that they've been making for generations.
Right.
But he wouldn't be able to nut out what it is, what the bacteria is that gives it that distinct flavour. That's just the recipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So the part of the recipe is kind of like the terroir.
Yep.
So we talk about, when making wines, we talk about the soil types and the climate and how that has an impact.
Yeah.
James, you
Wild,
can talk more.
or wild yeast that
That's exactly
winemakers are excited about.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Malolactic fermentation, where it's not inoculated.
Yeah.
It's in the atmosphere. It's in the vineyard.
Yes.
So, how is it in Australia making these products under strict hygiene laws?
Of course.
You do
With the cheese.
Yeah, you do lose some of the, not to say flavour profiles, but it's probably similar to cheese, where there's some things you just can't do in Australia.
Yeah.
And you have to use a starter culture, which is a purified form of the bacteria that you add then. And you do get other flavour variations coming into play as well, but you are limited to those commercially available starter cultures that you have to use. and
But does that? It doesn't seem to have held you back.
no, I think that all the other, if you use the quality ingredients and things like that, it just takes over, and you know you play around with the recipes and things like that.
So you've got a little shop in the Orange Arcade, isn't it?
That's right.
And open Tuesdays. Is it?
We're open at the moment Tuesdays till Saturday, half day.
Saturday. Yeah.
But at the moment, we've been really well supported by local wineries in particular, and so we're really excited to kick off this new little venture where we're going to be using some of the local wines in the manufacturing of these small portion salamis, the cacciatoris.
Cool.
And so we're going to be using some of James's wine,
Yep. Excellent.
make the salamis, and they're going to be able to buy them at the cellar door. So
Right.
in the times where we're closed, at the times that we're closed,
Of course.
they're going to be available in selected wineries.
Excellent. Well, that
So
sounds like a great idea.
it'll be a great little concept to run with, and I'm sure it'll be well supported too.
Cool.
So the shop in Orange, I own a German butchery in Sydney as well, which we started in 1983. And after I left school, I did try working in a couple of places. I got a job at Qantas doing engineering, and I ended up. Dad came around one day and said, "Look, I'm going to retire."
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean you're going to retire?" So he said, "Yeah, no, I want to give it up." So well, you can't. I've got to learn what you know before anything happens here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up doing my trade with Dad, even though I knew a lot of it.
Yeah.
It was more the hands-on, like boning out the pork, like doing everything from scratch, where you know you sort of know it in theory, but you actually have to do it yourself as well. And so yeah, I've owned it ever since. And then we, my wife's from the country, so we ended up moving to Orange to look after Beck's grandfather,
Right.
who was in a nursing home. And we thought, well, we're in a position where we can do it, and if we don't do it now, the kids will be at an age where it's too hard to do it. So we took the step and haven't looked back.
So do you live in Orange most of the time?
No, we're settled in Orange.
Yeah.
So our life is here now.
But
And
you nip up to the butchery every
yeah. I do.
Where is Rudy's?
It's in Kirrawee in the Sutherland Shire.
Yep.
Yeah.
So people can look that up.
They can look that up, Rudy's Butchery. And so we do carry most of the stuff we have here, but it's a bit more specialised here. So we carry lines here that are sort of more in tune with this region.
Yeah.
And
Good.
So
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm
Let's get
thirsty.
into
I'm hungry. Tom's been salivating.
fantastic.
So how do you want to do this? One by one, or
Yeah,
You talk us through it.
So we've got a bit of a selection of mixed price here, starting from the traditional, the salamis we've got here. We've got a calabrese, veneto, and a veneto with fennel, which are just your traditional. The veneto, obviously, a northern Italian recipe, down to the bit more spice and paprika in the smaller sopressata and the calabrese. I've got a truffle cacciatore, which has been really popular. I've got some biltong, South African biltong, which we've made, which is probably medium wetness. They sort of come in, it's either dry like a jerky or they call it wet when it's quite soft. And that's got a bit of coriander. And we've got the pork galantine, which is a pork spare rib that we've boned out and pocketed and filled with hand pieces, cracked pepper, mustard seed, gherkin, and then baked in a smoke oven.
Wow.
It's a bit of a tricky one. And then we've got Coca-Cola, which is like a copper, and smoked pork neck to which where is that one? That's Heidi. That's the smoked pork neck, and that's the galantine. Yep.
And the darkish one down
That's the Bresaola, which is that's the
excellent. Now, just a quick question before we go on. A couple of these are quite a lot darker. Is that a
beef? It's
is
a
it
beef
different
product.
meat?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Dairy beef.
So it's not about how long they've been sort of aired for. It's more the type of meat that
Yeah,
gives the colour.
yeah. More like it. So we normally, like when we make the salami, we use pork which is a little bit older and it's got a better flavour profile through it, and it gives it much better colour and flavour.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What are we going to start with?
Start there, move there, or which you guide us?
Oh, look, no.
Okay, well, I'll
Your gig.
let me do this. I've got the cat's pajamas with us this week. Now, the cat's pajamas, interesting product, especially earlier when we were talking about the kind of wild, the natural microorganisms in the cellar when you're making the small goods. The cat's pajamas is a wild fermentation, so we use all the natural yeasts that are on the apple skins or floating around in the cidery, and it gives it that really kind of real sort of, winemakers call it funky,
Barnyard.
barnyard. It's more that
Barnyard,
sort of barnyard character, that sort of leather horse saddle. And I reckon with that, it's going to match with something that's kind of, in that realm, that really kind of gutsy, meaty.
Probably more like truffle.
Truffle?
Truffle.
Yeah, that's it.
Truffle. That's
Yeah.
right.
Do you want to have a crack?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. So we're going to try this with the truffle. James, what are you going to have a crack at?
Well, I'll do Zinfandel, and then we'll try. I'm lucky. I've got a few Northern Italian wines,
Cool.
and we spoke about the Lagrine a couple of weeks ago, and I remember my little trip there, and we're talking about wine back then, but every cellar had a chunk of speck hanging there. Every cellar, multiple layers of speck, and we just had a chopping board and a good knife, and they taught me you don't eat the outside, it's a bit carcinogenic because it's got too much smoke involved, and you'd sit down with a glass at a table, at a barrel. My most memorable one was in Bolzano at Peter Paul's, Simon's uncle, and he had dug a carve all the way down. We were down about 18 metres underground, and he'd done little tunnels off to the side. It was his own museum. And we got down there and nearly had to get the windlass to get me out, because we got into his wine, we got into his grappa. My vocal cords have never been the same since after the grappa, and we just sat there and kept nibbling speck, just chopping off nice big sort of machete sort of things, slicing it up, eating and drinking. And then in Piemonte, where the Nebbiolo Barolo comes from, the wild boar and truffle sausage. So fantastic.
Cool.
Look, the Italians and Germans, yum yum. So that's the truffle.
And is that a wild boar or not? Or
That's that one's just a standard.
standard?
Yeah.
Not
I call it wild, but that's yeah. So probably not allowed to really use wild boar, are we?
Yeah, and the regulations do make it a little bit tricky now. Like just recently, they've really changed some things, especially with the game meat. Use the game meat.
There we.
Thank you. I'll grab that.
Beautiful.
And
Thank you.
where's the truffle come from?
Those ones are from
Wow.
Western Australia.
Yep.
Wow.
Great Southern.
Yep.
Adam Wilson. Thank
Yeah.
you.
How we go with that?
Yeah. People that
Yeah,
know
there's plenty
me,
of flavour.
I'm a sucker for truffle. So this is great. Look, Europe, Italy has such a tradition with salamis and prosciuttos and speck. And I can remember in Piemonte, in a little village in Lamora, where I had a guy, Mattia, and his father has a biological wine shop, and he gets you might know this, I hope you know this, and I hope we're about to get some happening. He gets a fillet of pork and basically goes in a cement mixer with salt and rosemary and other herbs, and just tumbles.
Yeah, that'd be Lonza.
Yeah, and tumbles and carves it, and it's like salmon. It's pink and soft and just melts in your mouth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just air dries it, hangs it, and
Yeah.
I don't, you know how to do it.
In Germany, they call it Lachsschinken,
Yep.
which is translated as salmon ham.
Haha.
That is the translation.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're right. It's got exactly that sort of really fine texture to it.
That's great. And yeah, you just go into his shop and he's got various things hanging.
Yeah.
You get a glass of wine and he sits there and slices it. Yeah, really good.
And you're right. The machine is actually like a cement mixer. It's actually a tumbler. That's called a tumbler.
A couple of old
And
bricks.
they normally, like when you see them here commercially, it's a vacuum. They actually they have a vacuum pump in it. Opens up the meat pores and allows the salt to go into it, and also reduces the salt level. So you can get away with using a lot less salt
Right.
in the manufacturing. So as it dries, it gives it a you don't get that real salty taste if you're just rubbing it from the outside.
Yeah. Okay. What do you reckon, James? The earthiness of those truffles with the cats, I think, goes pretty well.
That's, yeah, perfect match to me. Yum yum. Really good. So
Excellent. Where are you going to go, James? Come on.
I've got an arsenal here. We'll go some Nebbiolo.
Okay. So, Nebbiolo, quick rundown, flavour profile, and then Stephan, let me see if you can pick something off the plate to
Dark cherries, dark red rose, a little bit of sweet tar characteristic. This one's quite fruity. It's 2018, so it's got a good bit of fruit there.
Dark fruit.
Yes.
Dark fruit.
Yeah. Dark plum, dark forest berries.
Or maybe the Coca-Cola, or the copper.
Yep.
Copper? Let's have a crack.
Yeah, try that.
So we're just going to grab
Richie?
some?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've sanitised. So that, tell me about this. I mean, that's lovely and thin. It's to a lay person, similar to prosciutto.
So it's like a pancetta.
Yep.
So basically you get the salt neck, the pork neck, salt, herbs and spice, and it goes into the tumbler. So the cement mixer, and it then it just gets air dried in slowly reducing humidity until it gets to the right water activity, and then that's it.
Okay. Wow.
It's very, like the process is very simple, and that's what I love about a lot of the Italian foods, is that the processing is so minimal.
Yep.
Is there any significance in the copper part of the name? Is it, because it's got a slight sort of coppery colour to it, or is that?
Well, the copper is it's virtually, it's just a different name for the copper.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's yummy.
Brilliant. So it's, and as we've seen, all these visitors coming to Orange, they're all hearing about it. We're getting fantastic feedback from you. Finding Stephan's shop and stocking up or going to some of the wineries that have it. They're not meant to be little secrets in Orange, but if you've just come up for the weekend, you don't know.
It's part of the fun though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You've got to go out and explore.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having an outing today and getting round to the good wineries, good cider house, and meeting the people in the know, and finding out, oh yeah, this is where you get it.
Yeah.
It's sensational, and people can go back with a little esky full. This time of year, you don't need an esky.
Yeah.
True.
So
Yeah, that's right.
this is brilliant.
That is good.
And the beauty of Orange too is that it's really like word of mouth too.
Yep.
Like you don't need to advertise yourself to that extent because people find you. Just people talking because it's such a close knit community too, and everyone is got each other's backs, and it's fantastic. It's such a pleasure to be part of that sort of environment and encouraging too.
So, I reckon, let's have a go, because I know, Stephan, you don't drink a lot, so I've got a little non-alcoholic cider, our apple and pear cider. Now this is quite rich and fruity, but good balance. It's not sweetness. It's a good fruit apple and
You've
pear
sold it.
character. Okay,
You've sold it.
cool.
I've got to say it's one of my favourites anyway. So
You already know what it is. So that's our golden knot apple and pear. What do you reckon? What on the platter is going to go with this?
I actually wouldn't mind a bit of fennel.
Yep.
With
Oh,
that.
yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that-
I reckon that's going to work. So it's the one up the end there, is it? The fennel one?
This one. The fennel seeds.
No,
Or is
no.
it rosemary?
I think that's the fennel.
Fennel?
Yep.
I haven't got my glasses.
No. Three wise men here with their glasses.
That looks like the Veneto, that looks like fennel. We'll just
Fennel?
have to eat
Yeah.
both.
Fennel?
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Let's have
Wow.
a smell.
I
Oh yeah, I think
know, my son Nicholas likes this one.
Yeah, that's the one.
School lunches. Yep.
Oh wow. Really interestingly, it brings out the fennel character.
Yep.
Yeah, it heightens the fennel character with the non-alcoholic.
It was beautiful to
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So it's not just about alcohol. It's about good products, good local products, wine, non-alcoholic ciders.
Yeah, that goes
Yeah.
really well.
Wow.
So I can see I'm going to have to get a slicer in the cellar door.
Oh, but they don't go straight.
No. I'll keep an eye out for one. Yeah.
Okay, James, what are you up with next?
Spoiled for choice. I'm keen to try the biltong.
Yep.
So tell me its flavour profile and I'll see what I can match to
Okay.
it.
So it's basically just marinated beef that's been air dried for initially about 4 days, but altogether about 2 weeks the process takes, and it's got a little bit of malt vinegar, brown sugar, predominantly coriander, pepper.
Okay. Well, I'll give the Zinfandel a go. It's got some spice, some pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're Shiraz?
Shiraz. Yeah. Okay. I'll see if I can try the Shiraz.
Right,
Don't fall asleep on the couch, boys.
what do you
Might be
reckon?
up here.
What do you reckon? Yeah, I reckon the Shiraz might go.
I'll give the Shiraz a go.
Well, considering there's 4 pieces there, you might have to try one and then make
Yep.
a decision before we
Okay,
commit.
I'm going to jump in and just...
Try one before we commit.
Thank you, Ollie. Yeah. Lots of good helpers here tonight. Thank you, Ollie.
So is that the one that you were saying?
No, I think the Zinfandel will go into the salami.
the saucisson.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'll leave
I
it
think
to
the-
you.
I think
You're
the
the expert,
Zinfandel-
James, with your wine.
Oh, it's all practice.
See how we go.
I was a tiny little
Yeah.
bit for me.
Just smell.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the Shiraz, because the Zin might overpower that. It's quite
And there's
quite
nice.
soft, nice beefy,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
beefy character in the biltong.
And that's got some nice, just little spice, peppery type characters with the Shiraz.
But if you had a platter of this, like this, and a bottle of wine, you wouldn't go wrong. You don't need a bottle of wine for each sausage. Well, that might be nice.
We're just being pretentious.
Might need a bus and drive everyone home.
Yep, that's good. I get a lovely, good beef character there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, yep.
Who's going to have the last piece?
I think that's yours.
Yeah, you go that, or the dog, the Kelpie might. Give him an inch. So, look, and that's been good. And this week we had 10.8 millimetres of rain. The temperature has been crashing this afternoon, and last time I looked, about 20 minutes ago, it was down to 5 degrees outside. We're discussing the colour of the clouds. They look like snow clouds. So we'll see what happens. As we were saying in the beginning, school holidays and New South Wales getting out and about, we have been happily really well supported in Orange the last week. It's not just the weekend. The weekend's been fantastic. Everybody is learning to book online wherever they go, which is brilliant. It helps us in our businesses, but it's also good for the COVID safety tracking.
Absolutely.
Yes. Big shout out, we've got a lot of friends in Victoria. We do care, we do hope you're all safe. The rest of Australia is rooting for you to get through this and help the rest of us stay safe and hopefully out of lockdown. But we've been saying it for weeks, we're all in this together. Yeah. So in the beginning of Victoria, we were having a little bit of a laugh, but now this is pretty serious shit again.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're out there for you. I've got a special online for the Victorians. We're doing free delivery for 6 packs. We're doing free delivery and a 13th bottle if you order a dozen. If you're in New South Wales and you've got a sniffle, we might allow you in as well. But we're really just trying to help the guys in Victoria, guys and girls. So see how it goes. It's scary times again for all of us. When you're visiting cellar doors and tasting facilities and even just visiting, let's not drop the ball. Let's remember our social distancing. Let's remember our sanitising, our washing our hands. Let's not all slip back in. We need to.
Look, I've found with everybody certainly that's come around to Small Acres Cider, there's everyone's been patient. Everyone understands what's going on, and cellar doors run really well, even with the restrictions and the requirements of having to hand sanitise. So thanks very much, guys, for being patient and continuing to support us.
Yep.
But next time you're in Orange, just make sure you nip around to Cured.
Yep.
And
next to Harris Farm.
Next to Harris Farm, the little arcade, the little orange arcade, I'm sure it's called.
Yep.
Find Cured. It's well worth. Excuse me, I got a bit of pepper stuck in my throat.
well worth a visit.
Well worth a visit, absolutely.
And I've been saying it for a couple of weeks with all these visitors we're getting to Orange. A lot of our great restaurants, and all the restaurants, are having trouble fitting everybody in. So if you can't get into a restaurant, if you're not able to get takeaway from some of the ones we've suggested over the last couple of months, it's been a great suggestion. Swing into Harris Farm, fantastic range of fresh produce. Even though you've travelled from Sydney, they've got fresh seafood, but they've got fantastic fresh meats, really good cheeses, really good vegetables. And then just as you go out the sliding doors, you turn left,
right in front of you,
and there's Cured.
And there's
so
Cured. Yeah.
You can get all your sausages. You can make up your own pizzas.
Yeah. Well, we generally have small $20 sample platters too. That's got a good spread. Plenty for up to 4 people.
Yeah. So that's a good lunch option if.
Little picnic on a nice
picnic.
Sunday.
On a nice. We've been getting some beautiful winter weather out here, so nice idea for a picnic as well. What do you reckon, James? We might sit here and finish off all the rest of it.
Yep.
So we'll keep drinking some great Cargo Road wines and some great Small Acres cider. We're definitely going to finish this platter of small goods from Stephan at Cured. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Stephan,
Thanks very much for having me on, James.
Yep.
And it's good night from me, James.
It's good night from me, James.
Good night from me, Stephan.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. See you next week.